you guys ever flown first class?
Actually, so Trev and I went on a mini moon before our honeymoon.
Okay.
And we went to the Yukon.
In the winter.
Yeah, in the summer.
She's like, we want to find the place that we can wear the most clothes for our
Be
moon.
under the most blankets.
We got on the plane and they put us into first class. And I was so suspicious. I kept looking at Trevor being like, what is going on? I just was so scared we were going to be found out that we had somehow snuck into first
Not
class.
supposed to be there.
And then Trevor pulled up our ticket. He's like, Shawnee, you booked first class. I was like, how?
Settle down. Settle down. Settle down. Settle down. Settle down. Settle down.
Settle down. Settle down. Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle right down.
It's a settle down.
Welcome, listeners. I'm Vanessa Marshall. I'm the founder and CEO of Jack 59, and I'm from Swan River First Nation. And I'm here today recording with my co-hosts, these lovely ladies. Please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm Felicia Dewar. I'm a single mom of two, and I'm the CEO, founder of Miskamassawin Foods.
And I'm Mallory Yongway, the co-founder of Indigenous Box, your go-to for all Indigenous gifts. And I'm from the Saddle Lake Cree Nation.
And I'm Shawnee Gwynn, and I'm the founder of Pipiguan Petiguan and Wasigan Kisawatsoan.
Beautiful. Well, in this episode, we're joined by Chelsey Quirk, CEO of Indigenous Tourism Alberta, whose work is helping communities turn culture, land, and story into real opportunity. But before we meet Chelsey, we want to thank TELUS for supporting the show. A lot of people don't realize that even in 2026, millions of Canadians still don't have affordable internet access, and that affects whole communities. That's why we wanted to shout out TELUS Internet for Good. It's a program helping more people get access to affordable high-speed internet, especially in underserved communities. Because these days, internet access isn't a luxury, it's essential for school, work, and staying connected. TELUS believes everyone deserves a fair shot at digital inclusion, no matter where they live or their financial situation. To learn more, head to TELUS.com and search Internet for Good.
You know, it's really cool. I know I have all these connections to TELUS, but truly, TELUS doesn't have to do stuff like this, but they do. And I think you see that woven through their company. And I'm just, really proud to be connected and that they're our sponsor, because they really go above and beyond to make sure they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They have lots of beautiful programs.
It's awesome.
Well, I guess it's time to settle in because it's time to
settle down. All right, we're here with Chelsey, the cutie pie, sitting across from me. For our listeners meeting you for the first time, we're wondering if you could introduce yourself and tell us about your role as the CEO of Indigenous Tourism Alberta. What does that look like?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. First of all, I don't think I've ever been referred to as cutie pie, so I will take it.
Cutie pie.
Oh, that's funny. So yes, Chelsey Quirk, I'm the CEO of Indigenous Tourism Alberta, which has been just over a year that I joined the team there. But about myself, I'm a Métis woman. My ancestry comes from the Red River Valley. I was born in Manitoba, born in Winnipeg, St. Boniface Hospital. Got to represent Manitoba. I grew up in a small town, northwestern Ontario, Lake of the Woods, with my grandparents and my dad and my sister, and grew up in this beautiful little tourist town. We had a small business. That's a whole other story. But yeah, really excited to be here and talk about Indigenous tourism and the whole tourism landscape and all of the fun things that come with it. And maybe the not so fun things that come with it too.
Ooh, juicy. Well, we're going to get into the business of tourism in a little bit, but we want to get to know you a little bit personally. When we were thinking of questions to ask you, I was curious, you've been through a lot of different roles, and before, you were part of sort of the working system. What's it like to go from that to now being like the big wig CEO, the boss?
I'm still working.
I'm working hard. Doesn't stop. It'll never end. Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to someone recently just about, career trajectory. I started as a young person at a post-secondary. I worked for the Métis Nation of Ontario for a period of time. And that's when the Crown's duty to consult and accommodate came out. So really in Métis communities, I moved from there to the federal government. Like, what a shift. But working for a department that was supposed to be supporting Indigenous people. Again, that's a different show.
It's like supposed to be the story.
Yeah, I mean, this was a long time ago, and lots of things have changed. And we, I don't want to discredit that. We were doing really good work. Moved to an airport where the work is very different. An airport where they were just starting their reconciliation journey. So, like, what does that mean as a large organization? How do you entrench that into the work that you do, and like really into the weeds of it? And trying to always push for more inclusion and more engagement and more participation, and then shifting to an Indigenous organization with an all-Indigenous board, where now it's like you have to build in the support of non-Indigenous business to be like, this is like, we need to be partners in this work. So it's just been a really rapid shift and a lot of different perspectives in that as well. So I hope that I take little pieces of all of that, but we're a small organization, so I'm still doing the work.
How small are you?
So we are 13 people and a couple contractors.
That's pretty good. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It seems like that when you have an entire province that you're trying to
support. It doesn't seem that big. Yeah, then where's the capacity?
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first time I met you. I don't know if you remember the first time you met me.
Do you? Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I came in with Chief Tony
Yes.
to the airport, and we were trying to make an initiative happen. And as you were speaking, I was like, oh, like, because, a lot of people make assumptions about me of whether am I or am I not Indigenous. And I don't think we like introduced ourselves that way. Because with Chief Tony, he just wants to get right down to business, right? So I was like, just as you were talking, I was like, oh, I think maybe either this lady like really knows her stuff or she's community. And after we were talking, you're like, yeah, I'm Métis. And I was like, dang, that's awesome. And so I guess I was just curious, like, do a lot of people make assumptions of you? Like, you have beautiful red hair, like, is it tough?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, give me a couple months when the sun comes out and my skin will be a slightly different color.
I know.
I'm definitely white presenting as well, but in the summertime, it's crazy.
It looks a little different, but sure. I mean, I think people naturally judge a book by its cover, and so it's that's a tough place sometimes, and people, and depending on who you're working with. There's divides between Métis and First Nations people and Inuit people. Like, there's all of those things that you have to work around, but those are things that happen every day.
Yeah, sure.
You just got to remember you're doing the work for the right reason. That's
absolutely. And I find people like, it's a trust thing, right? It's like people, as they get to know you and know what you're about, that, it comes down and they start to chill, and then you're besties. Next thing you know, they text you every 2 seconds, right? Well, your son is really little still. And he's so cute. And I was just curious, you just got back from a big trip over to Europe. Very busy, like you said, team of 13. You're trying to support the whole province, all of these different folks from different types of communities. What does that look like? I know that's something I really struggled with because I had to hustle so much. And I just found that I was just saying yes all the time. And then all of a sudden I realized I was like, oh, dang, every time I say yes, I'm actually saying no to my babies and being home. And so, like, you're like, oh, girl, don't get me going.
Like, I'm not going to cry.
I know. Okay, sorry. But I guess I'm just curious, like, how do you balance it all? Like, I'm always curious how people do that because it is such a struggle.
It is. And I would say, just being super candid and honest, not well. Currently, not well. It is, and, I live on an acreage. I've got animals. I was saying, we're trying to sell our acreage, buy a house. I've got this little person who I want to show up to baseball practice and soccer practice and pick him up from school. My husband is so helpful. Like, he's hands-on, amazing father. So I'm lucky that way. Not everyone is. And it's hard. Saying no, boundaries, 2026, and I'm not good at that. So saying no is going to be important. I just brought on a new senior leader in the organization who's based out of Treaty 7. And so breath of fresh air to have another really great person join the organization where I can just, you have to delegate and also just say no, and I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better.
Yep. I don't think there is such a thing as balance, though.
Oh,
we always talk about how do you balance it. I don't think you ever get to a balance. I really don't. Like, I think, like you say, you do the best you can.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things, like, this is kind of like, as you're supporting other Indigenous entrepreneurs, especially women Indigenous entrepreneurs, we all are trying to find that balance. I had a 9-to-5 job when I decided to quit and start a business. And my motivation was my daughter's in daycare from, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. And I really wanted to change that. So I was like, I'm going to be at home with her and I'm going to start this business. It's going to be great. And like within 6 months, I was spending more time in my business than I was with my daughter. Yeah. And so she was about age 4. She's 16 now. And she always says, my mom always said she started this business to spend time with me, but she's always working.
Yeah, true.
But there's some beauty in that as well, right? I mean, they adapt. These are important things that we're doing for the world. We also get to involve them in different ways. So we're also, in a sense, breaking cycles, and they're learning new things. For me, there was the addiction piece. So that got broken, and like, although the actual time could be a little bit less, I think that the time that we do have with them is more valuable, and we put more energy and focus, and we're teaching them and learning, because I know it gets challenging.
Oh, yeah. And I think the cycle breaking piece is, that's a huge part of it. Family of addiction. We had a family-owned business, so my grandparents would take care of us. We lived on site of our family business. We were always working, but they were there all the time. And I don't think I thought about it at that point in time, but now I look back and I'm like, because the system also is not set up for working mothers.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. I'm like, who decided on half-day kindergarten? What is that all about?
Right?
Yes.
All of the kids' programming is like during the day for like toddlers and stuff. I remember being like, okay, well, I guess you're never doing anything fun ever because I have to go to work.
No.
But
just creating space. My goal, everything you do, it's an assumption, but everything I do is for my child. Yeah. That is it. And making sure that he has a life that I didn't have and doesn't have to have the same challenges that I had. So, and that's showing up.
Right. And there's a legacy to it too. Yeah. So, I'm creating a beautiful gift for you that you also get to have when I'm not here. So there's a bit of compromise, but.
Absolutely. I think we all feel very similar in the sense of we want our children always to have a better or easier life than what we had. Yeah. And so, definitely cycle breaking. We're going to switch from our motherhood journey for a little bit here. I know honestly, I feel like we could talk about it for hours and hours and hours.
It's so relevant,
and really is.
I hate that it gets kind of glossed over in a lot of the meetings and the things that we deal with, because this is a reality. So sorry.
That's okay. But we really want to talk to you about the work you're doing as well. So we'll focus on that, and we can always come back to our motherhood, because that's a big part of who we are. But a lot of people think that tourism is really just all you're doing is marketing and a good time, a vacation. Yeah. And we know that it's much more than that for Indigenous tourism. I know that a lot of it is economic development for our communities. A lot of it is small businesses and being able to take care of their families and their communities. I'm getting goosebumps actually just talking about this to you. Is that terrible? It's like, because it's such an opportunity for our. Just kidding.
There's like a lot of emotions right now.
Maybe I don't want to be in the middle anymore.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm having a hot flash.
We're good over here.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Felicia. Sorry. No, I know. But it's true. I was really getting goosebumps because I was thinking about my community and thinking about my family and thinking about the business I'm trying to grow, and just how being able to take control and being able to provide for your family and what that can do for us is so important. So, the question I'm to ask you is, how do you explain the real stakes of this work? So how do you get across to people that Indigenous tourism is much more than a marketing vacation? It is so much more. How do you portray that when you're out there? How do you talk about it?
I think, and we're hearing it more now in the whole landscape of Canada, but the word reconciliation has been on the table for a very long time. And it gets a little stale. Like people are like, what does that mean? Tourism, Indigenous tourism is a very tangible way that people can support Indigenous entrepreneurs, businesses. They're learning something, they're transformed, they're actively participating in reconciliation, thinking outside in the non-Indigenous community. We say often Indigenous people are the original storytellers and the original tour guides. Like this is who they are. They're sharing, whether you're breaking bread, sharing a story, sharing a big laugh. It's that is the whole essence of it, and it can look different. It can look different to anybody. It could be an on the land experience. It could be having a great meal. It can be staying at a hotel and learning about the nation that you're on. So it can look different in a lot of ways. And not just tourism, in a lot of sectors, Indigenous people haven't seen themselves as part of that pipeline, as part of that funnel. And there's also a behind the scenes problem with the way that the industry looks at tourism jobs as, hospitality entry level jobs.
Yes.
So that's a whole other conversation. But we look at this rapidly growing population of people who have so much to share, but also so much to preserve. So there's a balance there too. But there's a whole career path for them that they can take. And so we need to open those doors, and tourism does that. It's especially in a province that is very energy focused, which is fine, which is great. But there's a whole other path for people, and they can use what they have inside of them, in their culture, in their soul, in their families, and they can create a business that looks different from their neighbors.
I love that.
And that's not our job to dictate what business they have. And this is some education pieces that we need to do with the industry overall too. It's like we've got traditional mainstream tourism that looks a certain way and has to follow certain parameters. And what our members are telling us and what the public is telling us is that that's not Indigenous tourism. It needs to look the way that operator or that person wants it to be in it. And it's going to be different from culture to culture to culture. That's a very long-winded answer, but it's so many things. And I think about the entrepreneurs who their gold is telling the stories and engaging with people, not always on the back end on the business planning and the reporting and the forecasting and pricing their products. And so we can help in the back end on those pieces and then build in the ecosystem. We've got a great marketing team, but the marketing is important, but that's not where we need to spend our time, all of our time. It's that helping those entrepreneurs develop their experiences and how they want it to look.
One of the things that I love about Indigenous Tourism Alberta is it gives Indigenous people the opportunity to stay where they live.
Yes.
Yep.
They can stay connected to the land. They don't have to move into a city. They can do basically what they're doing day to day, except they can turn that into an experience for other people to witness and be a part of. And to me, that's the beauty of it, because I think a lot of our people come into the city. I know you had a hard experience. When I first came to the city, it was brutal. Everything was just so fast and different. And you're navigating, you don't know anybody. And I just wanted to go back home, Yeah. So I appreciate that a piece of this allows us to stay rooted into the land.
Yeah, and connected to who we are and share who we are. Be proud.
Defined by what we decide.
Exactly. Just watching you talk about Chelsey, I was just I was just getting so excited because I also feel like you were just lighting up, and I was I don't know. It's just so exciting what you're doing and being part of and growing this network of storytellers, really. And it's our oldest profession.
The stories. And, especially when we go into international markets, it's you have beautiful river valleys and mountains and landscapes everywhere in the world.
You do.
Everywhere in the world. But the culture and the people here only exist here. You are only going to get that here. I think when I travel to places, I want to learn about where I'm going. I want to meet real people. I want to go into the little nooks and crannies that, aren't, 3 times more expensive and for the same
with other people.
I like to go off the beaten track and
eat cultural food. Is a big one for people. If you're looking,
so not all travelers, are travelers. There's a very specific type of traveler that we're talking to, and that's okay. We don't have to be for everyone, but let's come back to why we do this work. Like, who are we and what is the purpose? And what about those grassroots businesses that need more? Like, we need to spend our time and support them. So the work is going to look a little different moving forward. And it's exciting and a little scary too, because it's different. But I think it's where we need to be.
That's crazy. So you've been there a year already?
Yeah, in March, St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Well, congrats.
That's a nice anniversary day to celebrate.
Yeah, right.
Take all the green.
Yeah.
So you have been very busy. Like, I see your socials, and you finished a new strategy. Amazing. That's a lot. Like, I don't know, because people don't really know what our day-to-days look like, but to be doing everything that you're doing and then be like, whipped off a new strategy my first year, that's it. That's really incredible. Like, good for you. And to also be connecting with community in the way that you are and doing the work that you're doing, like, my hat's off to you. Like, awesome work.
Thank you. I think there's still room to grow.
Oh, sure.
Always
I
is.
think, we did a ton of engagement around the strategy.
Awesome.
Lots of engagement, members, funding partners, industry partners, our team, our board. So took the time to be like, okay, where are we? Like, what's worked? What's not working? How do we feel? Are we okay to be to change, to be bold?
Yeah.
Are those things that we're comfortable with? And we were. So that's I'm thankful for that. But what we heard in that is people want time. Like, they want to sit down and they want to have a coffee with you. And so it's like, we need to take the time and pull ourselves back. We call this a year of realignment. Really think about what we want to do and spend time and listen. And I think, there's some programs that are great, but a one-size-fits-all approach to Indigenous operators does not work.
Yeah.
Does
I
not
appreciate that
work.
you said that, because there's people that are starting at so many different places.
Oh, yeah. And their goals are different. And in the tourism industry, there's kind of a hierarchy. It's like a export ready. So you've got your booking systems, your platforms. People can book a year ahead. It's that security, market ready, visitor ready, and those who are just in development. But what we've also heard from our members, and there's certain things when you're funded by different governments, you have to follow metrics, and we do, and that's fine. But internally, our members are like, that's not who I am.
We've talked about that on this show, about having those different metrics and different measures of success.
Yeah, and some people, like, they follow a different path. I think even about our artisans. We have some artisans who will have experiences that would be more in the tourism lens, and we have some that we look at as tourism adjacent. They are they're absolutely essential to the tourism industry, but they're not selling an experience. So how do we make sure that we're still supporting that group of people? But they need something very different than someone who has a bookable experience.
That would be like, an example would maybe be Mother Earth Essentials that just moved into the downtown.
Sure. Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And we think, like, look at the night market in Enoch.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
the success
so
of
fun.
that started from a little dream and has turned into something so beautiful and has a huge economic impact.
It's so cool. I'm getting goosebumps.
We're going to talk more about community in our next segment, and I'm glad I can really feel the passion from you, and I just keep smiling. It makes me very happy. But one of the things that I know about Alberta tourism, especially when I'm watching ads that are geared to bring people into our province, is the stampede, the mountains, and if there's an Indigenous person, they're always full regalia, dancing. So it's and that is a part of who we are, 100%, but that's not all who we are. But that's all I ever see on the Stampede posters.
That's because there's a lot of us Crees. We take up a lot of space, I'm just going to say. And we populate like rabbits. So just saying.
In your full regalia. Well, a stock photo, freaking never mind.
It always is, you know. And it's not that I don't love that look, but it's just it's not all, it doesn't show all of who we are. So what experiences outside of those that we see all the time, the Stampede or the K-Days or what have you, what experiences do you think are being missed that are beautiful, that people should be, looking for, going to? What would you show? Who would you show?
I mean, I always drive toward food.
Me too.
Yeah.
So Indigenous cuisine, just here in Edmonton, like Bernadette's I would eat there every night if I could. The food is magical, but it's the story. It's Chef Scott and Svit's story of the building this and how hard it was to get there. Chef Scott always gets emotional when he talks about it. Now I'm going to. So cuisine, I think, around the Stampede part 2, something that's very interesting and growing in Alberta is around relay. So we see
I love relay.
Crazy.
Everybody should experience that.
It is the most sought after event at the Stampede.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. When the relay, it's been around obviously forever, but as it's gained momentum in the Stampede, that is what people want to see.
Chelsey, could you maybe just for our listeners explain what relay is?
Oh
I
my
think we
gosh.
all know.
Yeah.
But-
So
Indian relay.
yes.
Yeah.
So we have an event that we do with DH Ranch, which is in Sutina. And so we go there and they teach us about paint. So you paint the horses. They teach you about the meaning behind painting. And it's youth.
So
It's all
cool.
youth who do this.
Cool.
And then they...
You gotta get. Me too.
And so essentially you've got a relay team of racers who like a big bareback horse and you have to... They're in their regalia that they wear for running. So they have to run and they jump onto the horse and they go around the circuit, jump off, and then the other person has to go get on the horse. It's the most athletic, dangerous.
It's intense.
It's
So
intense.
intense.
So fast.
And it's so fast. And so I want to go back to the youth because they demonstrate all of the relay for us. And there was this team
youth
of
do?
the youth do when we have this
cool.
event. And so
go.
there was an all-girl team, like girl power, and they were amazing. So they paint their horses. They tell you about the meaning behind the races. And then these girls, like, just kick butt. They were incredible. And then they came out and they meet everyone. They sign posters.
Oh my
and
gosh.
they talk to, and these are all like government politicians and influential people who are like, this is the best event I've ever been to. I didn't know this existed. And these little ladies were like, we're going to take over the world.
Yeah, they are.
And I'm like, yes, you are. So
I love
relay culture, Indian relay culture in Alberta is growing. We're seeing that grow more and more. I know Enoch has one.
Yes.
There in other parts, it's really growing because it's the best and so scary to watch. But so I'd say that spa and wellness experiences. So just an hour and a half outside of Edmonton toward Jasper, the woods experience. So it's set in the boreal forest. They've got accommodations so you can stay in these like beautiful little cabins, hot, cold, sit by a fire. You can do we had a group that went out there. They did a medicine pouch making
very cool.
workshop. So that's great. I think this week, so it's tourism week also, which is so today's the last day.
It is.
Today's the last day of tourism week. Our partners at Prairies Can funded. They put a bunch of tourism funding out, and 4 of those pots of funding went to Indigenous tourism experiences.
Good.
Cool. Rural Rivers out in Strathcona. So they have these moon bikes, which is like picture a quasi snow machine and bicycle, and you can do these moon bikes on the river, which is great. And then they have a bunch of other experiences in the cabin. So they're going to increase their accommodation so you can stay out there.
Is that Zach?
Zach.
That's my cousin.
Of course.
Sorry.
Yes, the one I was talking about earlier, the woods, Wendy. I learned this year that she's my cousin.
Get out.
Very cool. Very cool.
So they received some funding. If we think in Calgary, the Confluence, not a non-Indigenous organization, but they received funding to create a whole Indigenous exhibit in there. So really showcasing the culture of Indigenous people. Pine Creek Retreats out in Smoky Lake, they received funding as well through Prairies Can to increase their accommodations. So seeing those investments go to Indigenous tourism operators is fantastic. I
just bought a chunk of land in Fost, and we want to build a big greenhouse, and we have the plans from this guy in Saskatchewan that it can run year round. So you can grow like traditional herbs and other kinds of tropical plants, but also in the part of that to have a classroom where we can do classes for beading and drum making and sewing and all kinds of traditional clothing, but also have a sweat and like a smoker where you can do kakiwak and dry meat, stuff like that, and really have the experience, because our land is probably altogether about 20 acres and it's all berries. So we can do berry picking and then put that into like, our kitchen setting.
Freeze dryer?
Right? So I have all of that kitchen equipment. I preserve a lot of food.
Like, I'm ready.
But like, right? And what a great experience where you can pick some herbs and actually create a hand lotion or something that you can take away from there. So then that will build into accommodations and so we're working
That's
through
exciting.
that right now.
Okay.
But right, like the possibilities are endless. And that goal is also because we want to take what we have out of the city. Keep Jack 59, rolling somewhere, but we want to take ourselves back to the land.
Yes.
So working through Indigenous Tourism Alberta. I wore my Alberta pin. I was like proud Alberta. Still proud Canadian though. No, let's make that straight. No.
That's it.
So I just wanted to say thank you because we have worked through a bit of that format of going like, are we export ready? Are we visitor ready? And it really kind of makes you look and say like, oh, there's a lot of pieces that we need to put into place before we make this a reality. So I just want to say like, for people that are doing this, is reach out, and that format really helps. So
love that.
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and it all depends what you want for your business, and so we can help guide you through that process of what things that are going to make it easier for you. We don't have a problem in Alberta having too much. You hear over tourism in the mountains or over tourism in places like Paris where people are like, oh, we don't want the tourists. The business case is there. We know that people want it. We just don't have enough. Yeah. So we need to work harder.
Right. Totally. It's one of my biggest beefs with Edmonton is I'm just like, what a lost opportunity, even in our downtown, to tell more of our story and bring visitors here, because people are like, how do we get visitors to Edmonton? I'm like, hey, we got a ton of history to share that right now people have to go to the museum or they have to really think or go to your website instead of just coming and experiencing it. Because I'm like you and everyone else, like when I go somewhere, I want to experience something different. But I feel like when I come to Edmonton, not that I live very far, but
thinking as a tourist,
and I'm like, it's big box stores, I'm not knowing what I'm seeing that's different from when I go to Calgary, really, even, and really, what's the difference? Why are we not seeing that our story woven through the city somehow? Because I think that makes us unique and special. So I wish we could embrace that more.
Yeah, and I think my optimistic side tells me that, it's just, if it doesn't exist, let's build it.
Yes.
And I think, I had a conversation earlier about City Centre Mall. Like, what could City Centre Mall be? We know there are conversations around Rossdale, which is a very tricky, that's a tricky topic. And for me, the line is like that, nothing will happen there without Indigenous participation and engagement, the whole process. That is the path forward. Yes. And it could be something beautiful if that is what the Indigenous people want.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I think we're going to move into our teaching with Teresa. I had the pleasure of meeting with her yesterday, and she was just bucket filling again. So she is our elder, Teresa Strawberry, and she shares teachings with us. And so I asked her specifically about tourism and what should tourism look like. And I really loved her answer. So we'll go to that now.
When I think of tourism, I think about telling a story behind our way of life, and even through our culture and different beliefs, right? And then when I think like that, it's always the past, present, and the future, right? It's our responsibility to be able to give that history.
Is there a word or concept that comes to mind?
I think the word, and it's sometimes it's pretty hard to interpret from Cree or Anishinaabe. Mama Uichituk is work together to be able to continue our way of life and to be very mindful of how much or what we share when it comes to spirituality, right? Or even ceremonies, because it's something that's very sacred and something that we believe in our culture, right? It's also relationship building, right? Whether it's doing it on the fire or educating them. And a lot of times, even with different cultures, when they're getting gatherings, they do, like for us, we call it feast food. And part of feast food is inviting or feeding the other people that we are associating with, starting to build that relationship, right? So it all encompasses everything from just even the bannock itself. It's building those relationships in a good way.
What a sweetie pie.
We had to talk about bannock.
Right.
I love that teaching because it's actually embedded in our values. That's our value, what she just shared, right? Like that's our values, to walk that line of like share, but be mindful of what you share. And anyway, I love that. What do you think, Chelsey?
Yeah, I agree. I think especially when you're talking about ceremony or things that are sacred, like those aren't for the general public. And that's, yeah, I think those things have to be held close. And as a community, those decisions have to be made. What are we willing to share and what are we not willing to share? And if an experience is on a nation, does everyone agree? Because you're the ambassadors for people coming in. So that is the front face of what you're going to give. And does the community agree with it? Sometimes yes and sometimes no. And that's not for us to make that decision. And yeah, I think some things are not to be shared.
Truly. Like, I think that's some of the problems our communities have, even with our young influencers that are out on TikTok. We're so proud of them, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes, our elders are like, okay, who gave you the authority to share that, right?
Yes.
And I think that's where we have to remind our people is you as an Indigenous person on your own don't always have the authority to decide what we share. It has to be that community decision.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting, those conversations happen all the time.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
for sure, right? Well, one of the themes that came up in our research was the topic of authenticity. The national guidelines say it isn't something a business can simply claim. It requires active Indigenous involvement in the creation and delivery of the experience. Why was it important to define it that way?
I think about the word authenticity a lot. It's kind of hand in hand with the term reconciliation in my thoughts, especially when I look at the overall tourism industry where they're like, we want authentic Indigenous experiences, but they need to meet all these criteria. I'm like, those two things don't really go together. So I think there's, and what is authentic to someone is different to another.
Yes.
Well, and one of the reasons that I like this question so much is because what is authentic?
Yeah.
When I was starting my business, I talked to some elders because I said, what I am about to do is not traditional. And I had an elder tell me, our people were taught to go out into the world and learn what other people are doing and bring that knowledge into us and do it better. So that's why we ended up doing shampoo bars, because it was more sustainable. It didn't involve plastic. We, can teach about the herbs and the ingredients that we put into them and why we do that. It's why we also became certified B Corp, because those standards really matched. So when you talk about authenticity, to me, it's being authentic to your values. And I think if you carry those values, and that is hard for an organization to translate into, does it mean now you just have to have a card to say that you're Indigenous and then your idea gets interpreted from there? Like that must be a very challenging.
It is. And when you're thinking about it, tourism and thinking about experiences, and this is, I think, why Indigenous tourism is it's in its own lane. You could say, well, a casino brings in a ton of economic impact. Is it cultural? No. Is it Indigenous owned? Yes. But what happens with that is all of that economic impact goes back to the community. Like it goes back to preserve the community, to provide opportunities, housing, medical, like all of these things. And isn't that the point? Isn't that the point at the end of the day, to make sure that the communities thrive and there's employment embedded in that? It's economic impact for the people of that community. So we have those questions all the time too. So it's like, is an experience that isn't because you also don't want to put people into a box to be like, you're not an Indigenous experience unless you're on the land going for a walk with somebody. Like that doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I think you got to look at that full picture. How is it supporting the people of that community? How is it supporting employment? Is it creating prosperity? Is it revitalizing language? Is it like all of those pieces? So it's not really a simple answer, but it's complicated.
Something that I struggle with my product, because there's community that will say it's not an Indigenous food. You know, we didn't have it thousands of years ago. It was brought to us, you know, pre-colonization by Scottish fur traders. So some people will say, well, 400 years is good enough for me, so that's traditional food. And some people say, no, it's not traditional. So I really do struggle with that piece. And now I've basically said it's an Indigenous staple. You know, it really was a staple. It's been a staple for many, many years. But that authenticity is really hard to describe. And
But you made it your own. And I think actually just I'm realizing how every single one of us went out into the world, took our skill, honed it, and then came back and brought it into community to make it better. Like I'm thinking of you, Mallory, like where you were and what you did, and then what you've built because what you learned. And so I think that's important, that people have patience, even in our own community with us, that, look, I just dedicated 7 years of my life to the city of Edmonton, learning everything I could frickin' learn. And I did. Like I hopped around everywhere. And then as soon as the community called me in, I was like, oh, it's time. It's time to go and do this thing, right? And you're
Put your cape on and
you know, like
I'm
I'm
ready.
a superwoman. No, I'm not. But, you know, like
Well, you kind of are.
Well, thanks. We all are. You know, Chelsey, that's the gift that you're giving. Like you obviously worked in community as well with the Métis Nation of Ontario, but moving into the federal government, moving even into the airport, I'm sure what you were able to accomplish there, and then coming into the CEO position and then working with our community and helping them get ready. You know, it's so similar to what you do, Mallory. I mean, I don't know. Every time you're talking, Mallory's being so quiet because I feel like you're just like on the same level. Sorry, I just hit the mic.
We serve the same people.
You do. You do. You do.
And I always have this like, I cringe when I hear the word authentic, because I think for our listeners too, I think questioning what authenticity means to each of us is a really good starting point for identifying what sort of experiences do we want to see? What do we want to hear? What do we want to learn about the people whose territory that we live and work on? And, you know, even for locals. So I think, you know, I do want to put people in a box, but I also want to do it in a way that is true to like how they see themselves, you know, and it's not necessarily the stereotypical things that people expect, right? Like in our first year of business, people would think that they were getting, you know, fully beaded moccasins and a buffalo robe, and they're like, I opened my box and there was like bannock. You know, bannock is not,
shampoo bar.
you know, and so it's just like, I don't know. And I say this all the time, and I'm giving a keynote next week, so I'm refreshed about like all of our values and things that I talk about how far back in the supply chain does it make it non-Indigenous? How far back in the supply chain of tourism does it mean that it's not going back to community? And so I think people just need to question their own misconceptions and biases that we've learned today to know exactly where we're going.
Yeah, I think it's really easy for people to be hard on themselves and to, I mean, it can be lonely work. It can be divisive work. But I think we all want the same outcome. So how do we support each other and course correct as we move forward, so that we make it to the same place, which is just, really creating opportunity and prosperity for Indigenous people.
Yeah,
That's the end goal.
What makes it authentic is we always make it our own. Even if Bannock came from wherever, Scotland, we made it our own.
Absolutely.
Well, and
it's
to
way
me, that
better.
is the authenticity piece.
Yes,
is what you
it
have in your
is.
heart when you create it,
Yes.
right? Because there's so much more to Indigenous people than beading and dry meat.
Buffalo
and
robes.
Well,
buffalo
even
robes.
with beading, though, like if you look at the sort of traditional teachings that come behind beading, is like we were given during the fur trade. Beads are not ours.
Yeah.
They came from other places, and we used to get these big beads, right? They would trade Indigenous people for their beaver pelts for these beads, and they were huge. And then they realized, if we make the beads smaller and smaller, we can get more for less. And so we took that situation. We're like, we are going to make something beautiful out of this nasty situation. And so we just turn it around. Same with Bannock. We turn it around. That's authentic, is the innovation that we already have inherently as Indigenous peoples to take shitty situations and turn them into something beautiful that can come back to our communities. And
Totally.
And
anyways. even how each culture or area or region did different things with their beading patterns and the type of beading, you can tell where it comes from.
Absolutely.
Because it's totally different and authentic.
Yes.
So
Dang,
gorgeous.
we're so
I love
cool.
it. I love it. Well, we kind of touched upon it, but a lot of these guidelines also talk about responsibility to local community and traditional territory. So for people who've never thought about tourism this way, what kinds of responsibilities come from operating on the land that you've invited these people onto? So I guess that's kind of for all of us. But when you look at a company who's doing something on the land, are you involved at all in anything that happens in their company? Probably not, really. Hey?
It's very case by case scenario. If it's something that is the community is leading and they want us to be part of it, then of course we will. But that's not for us to decide. Right. That's certainly for them to decide. I'll give an example, which was very exciting this week in Treaty 7. Blackfoot Crossing unveiled they're going to have 3 new kind of luxury cabins down on the river, which is, Blackfoot Crossing is the most beautiful place, and so much history there. That's being funded through Travel Alberta partnership, and then we work alongside Blackfoot Crossing as well, just as they were developing some of theirs. So in those situations where they're like, come and be a part of this, of course we would. We've done, we've helped and worked in partnership on the side on some other things. But it all depends. It's, there are certain scenarios where people are putting their hand up saying, hey, can you come to community and help us with this situation or this opportunity? We're like, sure, we can. And there's somewhere they're like, we got it. And it's not for us to dictate, like we don't have to be at the table if they don't want us to be at the table. It has to be, we need to be able to add value if that's what they want from us.
Would you... or do you entertain elders as consultants for the businesses? We talked about a piece about what the youth and that might not be yours to actually put out in the world. Like somebody like myself who's reconnecting with the culture, I don't know some of the rules, So as we're working with Indigenous Tourism Alberta, I would love to have like a liaison or a guide or somebody that I could ask questions to. Is that a possibility or is that out there?
Oh yeah, we're working on that in the background right now because that is, I think that's an essential element. When we think about the guidance and the work that we do, there has to be those elders that are guiding and making sure that we're on track and that we're doing what we say we're supposed to be doing in the right, responsible way. So we're working on that right now.
Very cool. Because I think also people just might not know where to access an elder or who is an elder, who qualifies. Like, can I just go ask my kukum? I think a lot of people have wisdom in that, but it varies and so that's
super
great.
important.
I'm so happy to hear that that's coming.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very good.
And when you're a collector of stories like you are, and this is how I see ourselves, is that we have this next level of responsibility to caretake those stories that we received. And so I think that's what you're leading to, Vanessa, is that we have a responsibility for these businesses that we serve, for the community we serve, and we want to do it in a good way. So how do we maintain that collectively, but also making sure that we're respecting the people and the information that they may not want to be shared.
Oh, I agree. And, when we think of the independent operators who are out there and they have these stories and they meet a partner who's like, hey, like, you share your story with me. It's important for us because, you don't know what you don't know, to work alongside them and say, you maybe tell them the story. That doesn't mean it's their story. It's still your story.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to be very clear about that. Unless you want them to continue to share your story. But there's a whole other piece to that. So making sure that people know how and when and where to share their stories and what that means, because they aren't for everybody.
Yep.
They're a gift.
Yep.
They are gifts.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, I think we've kind of already touched upon this question. There's always pressure in tourism to grow fast and sell more and do, the extra things that put you kind of at a higher level. But what do you do when that commercialization of things that are really sacred and precious to us become commercialized?
Yes, I think that happens, and it happens, I think, all over the place. For us, really slowing down, because I mentioned it was a big growth over a short period of time. An organization that started with one person, and I think maybe $200,000 to do all this work, has grown quite quickly since 2018. So we're in the stage now that we need to stop. We need to pause. We need to really think about who we are and what our purpose is and how we're going to do that, which is going to mean saying no to certain things that make our hearts feel good. But is that what we're supposed to be doing? I think we need to find different areas and paths for certain opportunities and really focus on growth in a sustainable way that is at the pace that people want it, not the pace that we want it or the industry wants it, because it's quality over quantity.
Yeah. I think that also comes back to that kind of diversity piece, right?
Yeah.
It's like changing the want in the market for, bannock and dry meat and beating and mucklucks to broaden people's views that Indigenous people are so much more than that.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think this sector in particular is so different than, other areas because it's not about competition. It's about collaboration. We want to see, people are like, Alberta and Manitoba are the only provinces that have a provincial partnership to support tourism.
Really?
No one else does.
Wow.
And and Manitoba that's very recent. So I'm like, that's amazing.
That's because that's WOB country.
They always go on their WOB tangent.
We're going to get him on the podcast.
My goodness.
So for us, it's like seeing success across the board. That's amazing. It's not about competition. Or we have to be better. We have to. And sometimes you get stuck in those economic conversations about revenue and GDP, and of course those things are important. But that's not why we're doing the work.
Yeah, of course.
So it looks a little bit different, and the success and collaboration are going to make us stronger. Also think about those entrepreneurs who are really busy. They're in their business.
Mm-hmm.
They probably haven't even had the opportunity to go out and see all of these other businesses and how.
It's so
And
true.
and so be like, how are you
true.
doing this? And how did you overcome this? So we need to create some of those opportunities as well. We bring media in to go on what we call fam trips or familiarization trips, where they get to go and experience these things. But I'm like, why don't we take
For
the entrepreneurs? Why don't we take them so they can experience all this and take that back to their business?
Please do that.
Please invite
do
us
that.
on a girly trip.
Right?
I wanna go
Because
so
just in this
mad.
podcast with the four of us, to go out there and tour it and have the whole day at that,
I know.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
We get matching jammies.
I want a shirt. I want a strawberry
I'm gonna
cowboy shirt.
I'm gonna figure out where we can get these.
I love it.
But I don't know. I'm just so excited. I think what you're doing is incredible. And it's just like lifting me right up. Like I was so tired and stressed trying to get here on time, which I didn't get here on time. And I just thinking about all of the possibility, all of the opportunity. And I love hearing like the slowdown, the pause. I was just at the TELUS Indigenous Advisory Committee Council Circle, I don't know, that I sit on. And And Sean Willie, he was talking about how, all of these people will come in and they want to do business and they want to do it now. And he's like, and they want to do it fast. And he's like, no, we can go at my pace, or you can get out of town. And to see someone who is running something that is that massive talk like that brought me so much relief. I got so much flack. I still do sometimes, because I really do have to put so much of my own time and energy into growing my companies that community is sometimes saying to me like, well, where are you? We don't see you here. We don't see you there. And I'm like, girl, I'm begged. I want to be there. I can't be there. But part of that is because I'm falling into the trap of I have to get this all done now, or I'm going to lose my opportunity, or I'm not going to be able to succeed. And so having those reminders where I get pulled out because I'm on a committee and being reminded by people who, are a little bit older than me that have that same mindset that I have, it's good to remind myself. And even hearing, that they have you to be like, let's just slow down. We can still do this. Like, I don't know. We all have to surround ourselves with that message more, because that's when we build something sustainable with value that is authentic, that's real and successful, I think, Yeah, there's so much pressure.
So true.
Hell.
No. No pressure.
Just go put tobacco down after that.
On the road.
Oh God.
Okay.
I definitely know that when I don't slow down, and I go back home, all of those little old ladies, the young ladies, are like, they will give me a lecture, and I'm
That's
okay
my
with that.
mom too.
That's
I
good.
get sick.
Oh,
I'm gonna,
Yes.
and I will. I'll
Yes.
eventually get sick and have to be home for a week. I'll have no option. She's like, I told you.
Or
You're
they're
just
like,
living under stress.
we have to pray so hard for you. Are you okay? We're like, I don't know if I'm going to even thank you. I need those
So
prayers.
I'm glad I'm not alone there. Every time I talk to my mom every day, she's always like, baby girl, I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
I just
right.
picked up the phone.
Yeah.
You're like,
I just said,
all I said was hello.
Yeah.
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah,
The
they
beauty,
can, and they
of our,
can.
the beauty of our culture is also that matriarchal side sees things that we don't see, and they're like, you need to slow down.
They sense it.
They sense it.
It's
Yeah.
always the women.
My mom always says, I don't know. I just had this vibe. I had to call you. And I'm like,
I know.
Because when you learn, you really learn that the real power is in some of the little decisions that we make every single day.
It's
And
so true.
To bring this back to tourism,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, just for a second though, when Indigenous tourism is done well, who should benefit first? It's, the visitors, the businesses, the broader community, future generations, that we're borrowing time from right now? Or is the real challenge making sure that it isn't at the expense of one another?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a tough question.
It's a tough question, absolutely. Because in our businesses, we are making decisions that we're like, okay, what actions am I going to take today? What decisions will I make today that will have a ripple effect? And it's just an Indigenous way of doing business. We ask these questions because we know that, generationally, if we just break down these barriers right now, it's going to make it easier for next generation and the following generation. If we create an opportunity for us to tell our own stories in our own way and define tourism how we see fit, that's going to benefit generationally.
Right.
But right now, there are a lot of people saying that we shouldn't be benefiting from our community shouldn't be benefiting from casinos to an extent, and all of, so it's like the parameters they're constantly moving.
Constantly.
Yeah, for sure. Are there angles, though, that Indigenous Tourism Alberta looks at in the sense of how will the community benefit? How will your visitor benefit? Are these things that you encourage these businesses to look at? How will the land be affected? I don't know that we went through any of that process. I think that would be an interesting exercise to go through with a business owner.
And it all depends the way that our programming worked. There were different things where we would have kind of our pathways program where we would go into the community and explain, like, it's like the intro to tourism. This is what tourism looks like.
Right.
These are some of the things you can expect. Is this of interest to you? Is this the path you want to go down? Great. Then then you'll move to the next one, which is a little more in depth. And we talk about some of those things, but then there could be an entrepreneur who's established already and they're just like, hey, we need some help with pricing, website, business planning, maybe grant writing, something like that. We can figure that out. So it's it's very unique to depending on who the person is and because some of them are just mom and pop shops or entrepreneurs, independent entrepreneurs. Some are larger nation-owned businesses. Some are, so they're all different.
And Indigenous people are beautiful. Like, I feel like most of that stuff's just inherently built in, being able to reflect on it in actual, writing or something is maybe an exercise that would be beneficial. But I think the beauty of all of the Indigenous businesses that I know is, they have all of that just inherently in there.
Yeah, that worldview.
Yeah.
But I think even what you're saying, Chelsey, is just such a good reminder for everyone is that there is no one size fits all for an Indigenous person, community, nation. We are unique and special and different in our own way. And so is every human on the planet, right? And that's why so many things don't work that for everybody is because people try to put us in a box. Mallory, just kidding. That's the only box I'll be allowed to be put in.
Become approved box.
Right. And it's not. And I think that's really the approach we try to take at Pipiguan Pitiguan is like, yeah, we know how to do comm strategies. We could give you a template. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? What is your story? What do you want to accomplish? And that's so important because if we're not building a plan, setting up capacity and resources that will support you, then you'll fail. You know what I mean? And so to hear that, if I wanted to set up, I don't know, some kind of jam truck or something.
Please do.
I love that.
A very bad business plan, like making jam in a truck. I don't know. That's what came to mind.
On a hot summer day outside of berry season.
The strawberry banded jam truck that I could reach out to. Oh, gosh. Cut that. That I could reach out to you and say, this is my situation. And you would try to build that sort of wraparound support, which is really what we're all talking about all the time is like, how do we build community to help them succeed? Whether that's in our addiction or healing journey, whether it's on our entrepreneurial journey, whether it's on our path to sovereignty. How do we help each person, each community succeed? And I just think that's beautiful because there isn't one answer.
Yeah. No, it isn't. It's very, I think I love that uniqueness about it. It can be different every day. Every person you talk to is different. They want something different. They need something different. Sometimes they just want to have a chat, and that's great too. For us too, there's the balance because we have to do that good work, but we also have to answer to funders. So you got to balance those.
Oh, that's a good point. All this to say, you have a very difficult job.
Yes.
We're just realizing. Yes. You're also leading in a very public-facing role, and leadership often means carrying all of those expectations from every single direction that there is. Community, corporate, government, like you're balancing all of that in such an elegant way. Just, I have to add that. But with government, operators, communities, and travelers, like what's the hardest tension to navigate when everyone wants something slightly different? Everybody wants to make sure their voice is heard as well.
First of all, I would say this is the hardest job I've ever had.
I can imagine.
It's definitely the hardest. You have to have thick skin and just you have to ground yourself. And, I have my own historical trauma that I have to work through as well. I'm a yes person. I want to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to give up, which is good and bad. But
We know.
Can relate to that.
for a variety of reasons. I feel things deeply. Which is the one thing maybe I would, if I could change, I'd be like, maybe I'd just feel a little bit less. That'd be great. The needs and the perceptions are very different on the tourism side, on the Indigenous tourism side versus the funder side, what they need from me, what people want. You can't give everything to everybody. You're always going to miss the mark somewhere. I don't know as Indigenous people if we give each other a lot of grace to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Nope. It's not there yet.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, really work on that as well. When we do that in our team, it's okay to make mistakes. Always bring a solution to a problem. It doesn't have to be right, but it has to be a starting place.
Yes.
Bring a solution. So I think it's hard. It's hard battling because everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants you to do something a certain way, which could contradict the person that you just talked to before that who wanted you to do it a different way. So you just have to be comfortable knowing that you can't do it all and you can't do it all right now and things take time. That's the pause. Give me some grace. Let's go forward and try to figure out the best way forward. Is it always going to be right? No. But we can pivot and shift, and that's why let's build a safe community around us where we can feel heard, even when it's uncomfortable. Because you have to have uncomfortable conversations to be able to move forward.
Especially when it's uncomfortable. I feel like that's where we grow the most.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
It's because you're such a beautiful auntie.
You're our first auntie,
Right?
on the show.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so grateful for everything that you shared because I love that there's such a beautiful person taking care
Honestly.
of tourism in Alberta. I
Truly.
appreciate you.
Before we go wind down, see that perimenopause brain really strikes. Before we wind down, I actually, for our listeners, Chelsey, if I have what I think is a really great tourism idea or tourism adjacent idea and I'm Indigenous or a community or a nation, what do I do?
You can, contact us for sure. Go to our website. It's Indigenous-tourism-alberta.ca. Visit our website. All of our contact information is there. As I've learned, I'm very easy to reach. So you can also reach out to me.
I got called her at like midnight in Paris the other day. So sorry.
No, I will always take your call. You can reach out. Our team, all of our information is on our website. So follow us on socials too. You can see what's happening out in the Indigenous tourism world. Our team works really hard to showcase our members as well. But happy to talk to whoever wants to talk, good or bad.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I'm a little scared saying when I hear people say, just contact me directly. There must be somebody on your team that handles those incoming calls. That's probably where we should direct them.
It all depends if it's on the marketing side. My senior director of marketing, Tom Babin, he's based out of Treaty 7. We have Carrie Armstrong here who does our development. We just welcomed Tamara Littlelight, who's joined our team based out of Treaty 7 as well. And so she kind of oversees all the operations and partnership pieces. So she's the new person on the team. I'm like, direct everything to her.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Tamara.
Need a break. Need a break.
Thank you, Chelsey.
I have one more extremely pressing question.
Okay.
I know. I'm
It's
sorry.
very-
Hot seat now. This is where we get good. What's the resiest thing you ever did?
Oh. So I grew up in Kenora, which was originally called Rat Portage in Anishinaabe country. And we were surrounded by different nations. And my best friend growing up, her name was Rena. She saved my life and passed away. That's a different story in a house fire. And so she was from Rat Portage. And She would always take me to parties on the res with her. I think it was like maybe at 2 a.m. after a night out, she took me to a res party where I challenged several very large First Nations men to a dance-off in the kitchen. Yeah. So that was, a variety of stories that came from that. Also, with my same friend, had to run away from the cops in a back alley in Kenora and climb like the fire ladder onto the top of the roof of, of a building. Yeah.
I love that.
That is
dear.
I thought you were going to say you challenged him to a leg wrestle. I was like, And you won the dance off, right? You won.
Obviously.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Well, we're gonna start to wrap up here, but we want to end with a small ritual we'll be coming back to called
Where did you find the berries?
In this segment, we each share something that has brought abundance in our work. And so we want to extend the offer to you to share, where did you find the berries this week?
Oh. It's been a challenging few weeks, and honestly, I'm going to stay here today. This is great.
Oh my goodness.
We're berries.
Berries.
No, this has filled my heart, and nice to have just a really open, positive conversation and talk about something that I love as well. And it's easy to see that you're all passionate about it, and such a supporting group of matriarchs. So
Oh my goodness.
it's incredible.
Very simple moves.
I love that.
It's giving matriarch moves.
It is. Well, I mean, selfishly, we invited you here so we could just spend a whole hour hanging out.
Also that.
We're like, you want to talk about your job, but also just hang out. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had goosebumps as much as I have had through this conversation. And we've had some pretty big conversations.
Sure have, yeah.
So thank you for that, because it was all really positive goosebumps. It was all really like, I love when you meet another Indigenous woman who's passionate about life and what she does. And she's got the world by the male parts and just rocking the world
by the berry bush.
By the berry bush.
That's okay. That's way better. You can cut that out instead, or bleep it out. I don't know. So thank you so much for that.
And I say, harness that sensitive side, because honestly, I'm a big feeler too.
It's a superpower.
I guess. I know someday, like I know what you mean, but
It's also draining.
I'll say that, it can be draining, but it is one of my most strongest qualities, I find, is that I can feel. And it's a beautiful thing when you do take that time to like reset and get back out, just going outside and feeling everything the world has to offer. There's a lot of joy in it too.
Yes, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
true.
And I would say thank you for bringing your whole self
Mm-hmm.
to this position. I know sometimes that's really hard as a mom and a, Métis person, and navigating the world that really wasn't necessarily designed for you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you bring everything to this position. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Chelsey, you sweetie pie.
Cutie
I hope you
pie.
add that to your title, because you are, and you have filled all of our cups this morning.
Thank you.
And just so appreciate you taking time out of your very, very, very busy schedule to be with us. We just so appreciate seeing you here and having you. And just want to thank our listeners. Thank you for joining us again. And ladies, as always, love ya. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Settle Down is hosted by Shawnee Gwynn, Felicia Dewar, Mallory Youngway, and Vanessa Marshall. It was produced by Omar Moalim. This show is recorded at Hawk Story Studios in Musquatchie-Oswego. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us and follow us at Settle Down Pod. Thank you to the community of people who helped us. Janet Pruden, Merrick Tyler, Bernadine Coleman, and Be a Dreamer Films. Our music is by Asco. Our logo is designed by Pipiguan Betaguan. I'm Teresa Strawberry, and this has been Settle Down.